As I've watched this change over the years, you look at kids around here today, there's almost always a basketball hoop in front of the house. These kids don't get more than 20 feet off the road.
So for kids, I mean, there's some different factors, right, that influence the decline in them getting into outdoor spaces. And one of those may be increasing fear factor among parents and being more protective about where and how far away they allow their kids to go, and whether they're willing to let them play unsupervised. So in the past, you might have had people talk about, oh, you know, my parents told me to get outside and play outdoors all day, but come back when it got dark. And you're seeing that less and less.
We've been conditioned to believe that our children are inherently unsafe when they leave the house. They will surely be abducted if they stray out of sight. We think that the living room is safer than the forest, and that our children are better off getting calloused thumbs than skinned knees.
My kids used to love to play out in the woods, but there was one mother who was afraid to have her kids go in the woods. So she gave them all these stories about boogeymen and stuff like that. Well, the kids were scared to death to go and get off the road, you know. And you gotta be willing to let the kids get out and do things once in a while. So, you know, when I got up here, these woods were something I wanted to get into, but they were limitless in those days.
Over the last 50 years in the U.S., there's been a significant change in how young people play. And it's shifted to indoors, right, with devices in front of the face, right, and things that plug into electrical outlets. And there's been a decline in play in natural areas, play in the woods, unstructured play in the outdoors.
You know, they keep talking about the problems with obesity. Now, we don't have it as much in Vermont as they have in some other states, but I think that would be a big help to them. Get that foundation of good health when they're young. It lasts for a long time. I think it would make them more self-reliant, too.
You know, Americans very much define themselves by their work and careers. And there's a notion they need to be productive and serious as an adult. And so if you spend time in the natural world, sometimes people feel like that's very unproductive time, like you're lollygagging. And unfortunately, I think there's been a decline in people's understanding of the value of wandering.
Nature is now less a place where we live and more a place that we visit. Subsequently, the amount of land available for recreational use has drastically decreased.
In those days, between here and Jonesville, 3.5 miles, there was no house at all. Not a one.
Vermont Land Trust's mission is to conserve land for the future of Vermont, and that's a pretty broad mission, and I think it is purposefully broad in that land can be important to local communities for a wide array of reasons. From working farms to working forest to land that's important for public access.
I just actually asked my nature and outdoor writing class to write about that question. It became really clear that all of them had had some kind of really significant, high-impact outdoor experience as they were growing up. And I think as we were talking as a class, students started to realize that some of their experiences had defined them in a way that a lot of other people in the U.S. aren't getting, either in their community, right, from the people they know, or from the school system.
Vermont Land Trust, through its history, has conserved over 500,000 acres, and that ranges from farmland to forest land to other types of properties that are important to communities, such as land use for public access. If we want to have a future where we have woodlands that are healthy and areas where we can go to experience nature, it's critical to get kids out into the woods and to enable them to get out in the woods and have properties where they can get there.
It's very restful walking in the woods. A day like this on snowshoes would be beautiful. That's the kind of a place for, you know, people should be out in places like that.